Hey folks, here at osmvtactivists.com. You're watching our retro review part 1, just to look at the hardware of the Sony Clie PEG-SJ22/U. This is a pocket PDA device that you can use to organize with different functions like alarms, memos, and a basic web browser built on board. However, as the lower end spectrum of Sony's devices running on PalmOS 4.1, the device unfortunately lacked any advanced connectivity options other than infrared, so no Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi. You have to actually add those functions by yourself if you wanted those wireless support options. That said, it marked the newer Clie lineup at the time, which meant that the lineup no longer consisted of devices with monochrome displays, such as the older Clie PEG-SL10 series, which offered a monochrome screen. So again, this is kind of the newer era of Sony Clies with all-color touchscreen displays. The device did offer a pretty high-res screen at the time with a 320 by 320 16-bit color resolution, which allowed for viewing images and videos at a pretty good rate, and it also included the Karma video player at the time, which allowed you to download different video clips from YouTube and around the web, and then to view them on the screen, which is actually pretty decent, again, especially when this device was first released. Again, the device only had a 33 megahertz Motorola processor as the CPU on board, which is low by today's standards, but sufficient to run a low-powered operating system such as PalmOS, and everything was actually surprisingly fast and responsive on the device, especially since it only came with 16 megabytes of RAM, and you could upgrade the actual ROM with a aforementioned SD card, or actually a memory stick card, proprietary from Sony, on the top of the unit to expand the functionality, applications, and storage capacity of the device. Again, the device has a graffiti area on the bottom. It has infrared, USB connectors, and the dimensions are 105 by 73 by 17 millimeters, which makes it a pretty decent, as far as size is concerned, but also a fairly standard PDA at the time. The device is made entirely out of plastic, even though it has a nice weight to it, so it feels pretty good in hand, not too cheap at all. And again, this was back in 2003. Otherwise, the device comes with a very basic speaker, but it only allows you to play back alarms. Unfortunately, that means no music support unless you use a pair of headsets on the device, which is a downside. There are some clock functionalities, some paint functionalities, and some editing functionalities, and of course all the regular applications such as Office editing, PDF editing, and basic Microsoft Excel editing from PalmOS built right on in. The device also had a pretty interesting, again, the screen itself was a little bit difficult to see under direct sunlight as a color display with not a so good backlight, but it did work if you turn the backlight off. Taking a closer look at the design, again, the front is dominated by a one-piece resistive touchscreen, which is actually surprisingly responsive, especially if you use a stylus to draw, paint, and annotate different notes. The bottom features a graffiti area for actually handwriting recognition, so you could type out letters and words like A, B, or C, and the device will recognize that. Pressing on the A key down here brings up a virtual QWERTY keyboard, which allows you to type on messages. However, the keyboard is extremely cramped and can only be used with a stylus, as of most and all PalmOS-based devices. There are some dedicated soft keys composing of a calculator, a search, a home, and a drop-down menu navigation bar, and also a dedicated contrast key on the side here, which allows you to adjust the screen brightness and the resolution. The bottom of the device features a scroll wheel, but only up and down functions are permitted. It's pretty tactile and easy to press. There's also some standard keys like organizer, phone book, address book, and checklist applications. These buttons, however, are slightly cramped and resist from the surface of the device, which makes them slightly difficult to press, to be quite honest. The left-hand side device features a jog wheel that goes 360 degrees, and you can press it inside to select on applications. It works pretty well, although the select key is a little bit stiff for our eye likings. There's also a back application key, which is nice. The top features a lanyard cord, a IR port, the memory stick port, a power on and off / backlight port, and also the aforementioned stylus port. The bottom features the proprietary dock for charging, syncing information, and connecting to a PC or a Mac computer, whereas the back features the monotone speaker that we talked about, and also includes a lithium-ion rechargeable battery that can be removed by taking off the backplate and interchanged if your lithium battery runs out of juice and it dies after a few charges or so. And essentially that's all as far as hardware is concerned. It's a pretty nicely designed device, but not anything we haven't seen before. Again, it's on the lower hand spectrum of Sony's Clie series that was released back in 2003, so the second generation models. But it was still adequately powerful, definitely enough to handle multimedia and most programs and editing applications at the time, especially if you got a keyboard dock for it. And again, from Sony, so it created a pretty good high quality build and design as opposed to some Palm devices which tended to be a little bit more plasticky unless you had the tungsten series, which were made out of metal predominantly. So overall, the device again was pretty inexpensive at the time, and if you're still looking in the market for a very inexpensive pocket organizer and you don't want a smartphone, or you have a regular cell phone, a dumb phone by today's standards, but you want to get a dumb phone and a PDA, it's still a viable option in today's market. So thanks for watching this video first look. This is just retro look back at the hardware of the Sony Clie PEG-SJ23 series, but of course 22 series, sorry, but we'll get back with a part 2 software tour of this pocket PDA device later on. Thanks for watching here, OS and VTActivities.com and our brother site at OS Tech News.